Vous m'entendez là? Bon. Bonsoir, merci d'être là. Alors donc, on est là avec Harmony Korine, mon cher ami, que j'aime beaucoup depuis, je sais pas, 5 ans, 30 ans. I'm artist to be I know you for a long time, I don't remember.
But, Agnes, you guys have a treasure here. Love her.
Oh, you are a treasure too. So everyone can see your work on the walls, and I'm very happy to show your work here. I've been doing l'accrochage. Comment on appelle ça l'accrochage en anglais? Installation, yeah, I did the installation. And I was wondering, Harmony, when I saw this, again, this picture, this painting with small black squares. It was like an obsessional work. That's why I bought it, I think. Because you must have spent much time. Vous avez dû passer beaucoup de temps à faire cette toile-là, avec les tout petits carrés noirs là. Even on the sides, That's natural for me. Ça me touche de voir comment il a été jusqu'au bord, à faire des tout petits carrés, comme un truc d'obsession totale. Yeah. Donc Harmony, j'ai rencontré il y a longtemps, je sais pas, 20 ans, 30 ans, je sais plus. 20 years, I don't know. In Venice, because I saw Gumeau, j'avais vu Gumeau. Et après avoir vu Gumeau, je voulais voir plus d'Harmony Korine. Donc je suis allée à Venise, l'avion d'Air France était en retard. Et on s'est rencontrés, we met in a corridor with a flower blanket in the corridor in Hôtel des Bains. And I was looking for you, in fact. I didn't even understand I was looking for you. But we just crossed in that corridor that day. On s'est rencontrés à Venise dans un couloir des bains, de l'hôtel des bains, avec la moquette à fleurs, jusqu'au bout là-bas. Puis j'ai vu un garçon, je me dis, ça doit être Harmony. Must be Harmony. That's why we met.
And I used to try to, before I met you, I used to try to steal the posters in your shop.
Did you?
The movie posters.
Movie posters,
She had the best movie posters. All the
You
Cassavetes.
said it was about Fassbinder.
Yeah, all the Cassavetes posters. I would walk by when you had that place on.
And Madonna, she wanted to have a hat. She was not Madonna yet. She was coming every day to have a hat, a leather hat.
It was like Prince Street or something.
Yes,
yeah.
113 Prince Street. Yeah.
And you had the best posters.
We love cinema too. Yeah.
First, thank you all for coming and welcome. I am Pierre-Alexandre and this is Charles Teyssou. We also wanted to thank Salis Bay and AFAB for the invitation and this beautiful retrospective. Agnès owns the largest collection of Harmony Korine works in the world. That's my first note. On this occasion of the first retrospective of Harmony Korine works, we'll explore with him a kaleidoscopic body of work, one that is ever evolving, shape-shifting and multidisciplinary. His art spans from lo-fi to grunge, from Southern Gothic to black metal, from abstraction to psychedelia, from cinema verite to outsider art, from video games to artificial intelligence. Let's give a round of applause to Harmony Korine. So my first question was about your meeting, but you said you met at the Lido in Venice during Julien Clerc-Boy premiere. Was it love at first sight?
Yes. Agnes is one of the best. She's great. You guys, she's a treasure. French treasure.
I think we met when small. It's like if we met when we were 10 or I don't know. Because it's like something very childhood.
Childhood friendship.
C'est quelque chose de très enfantin, notre relation de départ. On s'est trouvés comme quand on est petit, il faut trouver des copains. Voilà. C'est comme ça notre relation. It started really like a child story.
It's true.
And we never will love her. No.
Not yet.
No. Naughty boy.
So the first exhibition you made with Agnès was called the Sigil of the Cloven Hoofmar Zeitpath. which divided into black metal universe. Just behind us, we have like this is just the beginning. Just behind us. And that
Which is a
part-
cover of your book. You told me make my cover. I took this.
Yeah, that's a
That's
cover.
a story.
Part of that.
Oui, il m'a dit fais la couverture et j'ai fait ça. Donc c'est jamais bien.
Can you talk a bit about this first exhibition you made in the 2000 with Agnes?
This one, I think I was living in Paris, and then these were just images that I think listening to a lot of this type of music, and then the imagery was interesting. So I think it's probably just things that I was making while I was in Paris. A lot of collages, writings, a lot of photographs. It was before I really got into painting, like painting. So it was a bit more, scattered and collage-ish. So she had this great space, and I think that was probably like early 2000.
I remember that you have explored band like Dark Throne or Satyricon. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think at that time I was into that music, and it was pre-internet, so it was still it's very hard to have anything that's like underground anymore. At that point, it felt very regional, and all the kind of iconography of it, and just like how extreme it was attractive. And I think I've been using some of even in Gummo. I think we did a lot, scored a lot of movies.
That was also the moment to cross the paths with Skateboarding, Claire Denis, Léos Carax. Can you talk a bit about that period? I was curious about the fact if you had explored the Greekers, the Dodger part of Paris, the clandestine part of Paris.
Were you a lot out?
Oh, you mean like the grimy shit?
I don't know, it could be street
Ils
club.
sortaient pas tellement.
Strip
hein.
clubs? Gosh, no, I guess, it's a long time ago. I mean, listen, when you were at Gas Bar, especially at that point, he's like a good guide for that stuff. I remember hanging out with this pimp who was like obsessed with Primo Levi. That was pretty good. This one guy that we met who he would just pose as like a piece of furniture, go to clubs, and go to houses, and you would sit on them. It was pretty grimy.
So let's go back to your teenage years and your early inspiration when you were living between Nashville and doing some skateboarding in San Francisco during every summer. And I read somewhere that you were like really inspired by a specific skateboard videotape, Memory Screen from '91, directed by Alan Workshop, which is obviously a bit of skateboarding, a lot of fight in the spirit of Jackass, and then a lot of moments with more abstract, glitch, experimental cinema. And I was wondering if you could maybe speak about that in particular, and then about the whole skateboard aesthetic, lifestyle, and raw energy that was like a big inspiration for you.
Yeah, skateboarding was, I guess, in like high school before even movies. It was like a big part of my life growing up in Nashville. Having like this kind of group of friends, and at that point there wasn't a lot of parental guidance, so we lived on, pretty much on the street, and it's a very different skateboarding then than skateboarding now. There wasn't no social media. It was very much like you were just like out in the world, in the street, and living there, and you would come home or maybe not come home. And then there were summers that we'd spend in San Francisco living on like rooftops and random people's houses and sleeping in vans, and it was pretty early on. I was probably like 14, 15. And then the video I think you're referencing is the Memory Screen from the Alien Workshop video. That was it was a video that came out probably like 1990 or something. They created it in Xenia, Ohio, which is actually where I put the setting for Gummo. Which is like a place where there was like the world's worst tornado had hit in the 70s. And yeah, it was this video that changed the way a lot of people thought, or it was very non-linear, very like American, strange, collage-y stuff that they were doing with music and image. It was very radical for that time, and it was definitely like for us, or for me, it was a big deal. Yeah.
Because I tried to get a glimpse of your early short movies, like early experiments, even before you wrote the script for Like Kids. And I saw one video of like few extracts of one video where you're like wearing a pink shirt, like in New York, roaming the streets, playing banjo, and then getting in fights with random dudes in the streets. One of the most distinctive traits or aspects of your cinema is the obsession or the love or the care that you have for freaks, for outcasts, for the margins. And of course it reminds of this American visual tradition of the amusement park, Dimes Museum, kind of American vaudeville.
But he was fed up of that. That's why he came to Paris for 2 years. Don't you? That's what you told me at the time.
Yeah.
Il m'a dit, j'en ai marre de New York, si je suis pas à une fête, la fête est ratée. If you were not going to a party, the party was going wrong.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. So that's why you wanted to be away from that. That's what you told me.
Yes. Yeah.
I
That's
remember
true.
very well.
It's true.
Can you tell us more about that?
About that question or how I ended up in Paris? I don't know. I ended up in Paris, yeah, because I wanted to leave America, but that was later. That was like years later.
Yeah, maybe because I wanted to maybe go towards Gumo, and the kind of
Right, yeah,
feel like some kind of inspiration. Of course, there was like your upbringing and the kind of social and aesthetic climate in which you grew. But I was wondering if there was some kind of books or photographers that inspired you, like Jan Arthurs, Marilyn Mark, Richard.
I mean, I like those people, but I'm inspired. I don't ever think about other artists or trying to. Like the influences mostly come from just life and just come from things that you see. As a kid, I spent a lot of time on like in carnivals and traveling carnivals, and I grew up in the South. And my dad was making documentaries in the 70s, 80s about like Southern music and moonshiners and people that lived out in the woods and guys that wrestled alligators and one of my closest friends growing up was married to a sheep.
Harmony, your first book, Cracked Up as a Race Rail, is a chaotic collage of fragments, lists, dialogues, and image, rejecting traditional linear narration. Figure and celebrities like Tupac Shakur, Tristan Shandy, T.S. Eliot, Johnny Rottens, Abir Strosso, but also themes such as like racism, incest, riots. It is infused by postmodern authors like Katie Aker and William Hasbro. I was curious about that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
What if I was influenced by
Katie Aker and William Hasbro.
Katie?
Katie Aker.
Oh, Kathy. Not really. No, not so much. I just started to like entertain myself. I try to invent my own, or I've always just tried to. I always just saw things a little bit differently. I'm not precious about stuff, and I try, as far as deconstructing narrative or nonlinear writing, it was mostly because my mind was very fast and my attention span was short, and I was interested in telling stories in a different way. A lot of times in the early days, I didn't know how to. Because I started mostly almost as a kid, as a child, doing this stuff, so I didn't know how to turn off my thoughts. And so a lot of the book or the films and the narrative sequencing, the way it kind of maybe it's more a provocative type of narrative, that a lot of it came from just my mind, the way that I would think. I've never been a person that consciously or would reference anyone. I'm aware of a lot of all those things in movies and writers and things, but I mostly think that they like, you absorb them naturally, they become a part of you, and then if it's, you know, and if maybe somehow they can influence you in that way, but never like, I would never like directly reference anything.
Let's jump to Trash Import. It was shot on VHS and with a deliberately raw and degraded aesthetic. The film followed a group of anarchic figures roaming desolate landscapes, screaming, destroying, and copulating with trash cans. So somewhere between the 5 or
Copulating with trash can?
trash can?
No, I just like the way you say it. Copulating with trash can.
Okay, that was my accent.
Maybe.
Actually, I had like 2
trash
hours
can.
of English lesson toward this conference. So, do you consider this film as a fake documentary in a tradition of Bando movie in the 70s? Or like a nightmarish version of Jackass? Or maybe an answer to The Idiot by Lars von Trier?
You know, again, I don't know, I would never think of any of those things. I just make stuff because I want to see them. So I make films or anything, paintings or anything, just because they don't exist in a certain way. So I just create it. I don't think about them too much, or I don't even think about them in terms of like where they exist in relationship to other artists. Or I mostly just do my thing and then try to like disappear. Just go. But I don't ever really even think about my work. You know?
Never see your movie twice, no?
I just don't have any interest. Like once I make it, it's out there. I've made it, and then I'd go on to the next thing. I mean, I love them. They're like children, but I'm not. I guess I'm not like a super reflective, or I don't really try to discern like specific meaning or logic or anything. I try to just clear my mind and just make things and just keep it moving.
Let's talk about like the Milk Chicken Review, this series of photographs with faces crossed out with black lines. It's not only that, it was made in Nashville, but that's also part of the Anne Frank Diary Part 2. That's also linked to this movie, exhibit in the exhibition. Can you present this movie?
Whatever.
No, can you present this movie?
Can I
Anne
what?
Frank Diary.
Oh, present. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, presenting.
Present it? Upstairs. You mean like, oh, talk about it.
Yeah, talk about it.
The Diary of Anne Frank?
Part 2.
Part 2. That was a movie, that was something that was shot before production of Gummo. So those were neighborhoods that I had grown up in. It was in East Nashville. And then what I did was, before, if I can remember correctly, before I had figured out the structure with the movies, I had just kind of given cameras to like my friends from high school, and even like my sister, and some Polaroids, and Super 8, and an early VHS camera, and just asked them to just go around the neighborhoods and just document things that they were seeing. So it was just like impressions, images, moving photographs, like kind of, they knew the types of things that I was attracted to, and so they went out, and then I went out separately, and then I think that film specifically, in the middle, there was like a family that we had heard of that none of the people in the family could see or hear. There was like 4 of them. They were blind and deaf, and I think she's shaving him on the front porch. They used to eat like raw turkey and dog biscuits. Good people. And then what else? Other one was just an assembly of just images. I think they found this one family, pack rats. They found a dead dog in a chandelier and someone's human jawbone under one of the beds.
Good reference. This retrospective, I like the evolution of your style from like a grunge lo-fi and metal to something more acid, pops, and psychedelic. In your painting, you have a character, Twitchy, that appears frequently. It's a figure somewhere in between an anxious smiley face and something like Michel with pride. Who's Twitchy to you?
The character Twitchy?
Yeah, character Twitchy that you can see on this painting.
It's just a character that I've always painted or drawn. It's just like a sexless, like little bastard. Just like a little thing that just kind of twitches around and just pops up from one place to another. Just a little motherfucker just getting grimy in there, up in the paint, all up in you.
Okay, that's a good version of Twitchy.
Your cinema is highly physical, and it's always as you try to, as if you were trying to grasp the kind of genius or the spirit of a place, the kind of psychogeography. And at some point it reminded me of Hunter Thompson and gonzo journalism. That's the only way to do a thing, to study a place, is to be highly subjective, to be like deeply rooted in the space, in the territory, and in the case of Hunter Thompson, through drugs, sex, and violence. Could we call you like a kind of gonzo filmmaker?
I don't know anything about that shit, bro. I just do my thing. I mean, I don't know anything about any of that shit. I just try to do my thing.
Speaking of striptease or sex and striptease, because Agnès told me you moved to Florida because they have the best striptease show in the US. Is that
That's a really good strip club, great titty bars, big fat asses. It's like it's a thing. It's real.
Because I heard that one of your early kind of cinematic epiphany was Porky's by Bob
Porky's,
which is set in Florida.
That is true. Porky's is one of my biggest influences. Porky's 2 is also a banger, and that character Animal from Porky's is one of my role models.
Because if we go back to Florida, I mean Florida and Miami,
yes,
there since a decade.
That was a Florida film. Great.
The best pleasers.
Yes. Some good ones.
Did you go, Agnès?
Agnes likes Latin women. Agnes is
best
into like.
striptease in the world.
Agnes loves Latin.
Yeah. I like that.
He likes Colombian. She likes Colombian.
Not surprising. But I mean, Florida is always. I mean, among your 4 or 5 last movies, Florida is always like the main character. Or as if like all the actors are like infected or like under the influence of some kind of Floridian delirium. And of course, like Florida, I never went there, but it's like even exotic for Americans themselves. You have like Canaveral, trap music, value, baroque mansions, I mean like everything and nothing. Yeah. And there is this kind of pulp, hypnotic, acid, southern Gothic atmospheres in Florida. Is there, I mean, could you speak a bit more about what is it to live there, and if there like any movie that inspired you when I heard, for example, that you were a big fan of Miami Vice, of course?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Florida keeps it trill. I just love that spot. Like, it's the greatest place. It's when you set anything in Florida, you just say Florida, and it becomes like a science fiction. Like, you can believe anything. That movie Cocoon was made in Florida, you know, like and the way things look, and the way the colors, the sky, the water, the kind of the geography, the landscape, and then all the cities each represent something different. The northern part is something, you know, that's completely different than the middle and the south, and the Keys, and everything is like it's its own. It's like Florida is its own country, really. But yeah, as a kid, I loved Miami Vice. Like, I loved Miami. I grew up in Tennessee, but so it was exotic. The cars, the clothes, the music. I loved Miami Vice. It was a big deal. And then I loved the movie Miami Vice. Yeah, Michael Mann movie.
Yeah, to go back to your painting, 2010, you had a style which could be qualified as raw, and not childlike quality, deeply influenced by dreams, nightmares, and repressed desire. or that's my interpretation. I'm thinking about entitled Trouble Me Always, which is maybe a reference to Agnès. And it's about Art Brut, it's about Louis Suter, Art of Accident, or Martin Kippenberger, Bad Painting. I was curious about, do you think painting is something like naive and intuitive, or more like cerebral and psychoanalytic?
Painting, I don't differentiate any of them, though everything's the same. Also, always, from the very beginning as a child, it was always a unified aesthetic. I never tried to separate or think about things in any way separate. I never thought of one form as the movies were dominant and the paintings or writing were here. It was all part of this one thing for me. So everything is just an urge, and the paintings, the drawings, the movies, it's all part of one ecosystem, or one kind of creative center. But I don't have any, even the way that I make them, the movies, it's all just comes from the same spot. I don't think about it. I don't differentiate. I don't, even though the process is different, and some things are collaborative, some things are more singular, some things, it all just comes from one place. It's all one thing.
But I think, you talk always about people who are not exactly balanced. You have a lot of paintings there. I came alone, she came alone and she went alone, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
These two drawings together,
Yeah.
saying something that was like, not a good adventure. But you talk about these people not in danger, but not very good balance.
Yeah, bad balance. Yeah.
Casual.
My sister, I remember my sister had something wrong with her ear once when she was a teenager, and she would just stand up and fall down. She had bad balance for like a year, and it was kind of funny, but it was also sad. And then I became really interested in people with bad balance.
I remember you talking and going back at the same time. You were talking to me and you were going back. So I remember very well this attitude you had, because it's in your paintings.
Yeah, very special.
They are not very balanced, you know.
Yeah.
I like people who are not exactly balanced.
Yeah.
And you talk about that very well.
Yeah.
Il parle vraiment des gens qui ne sont pas tout à fait en équilibre. Et c'est ça qui me touche, comme cette peinture-là. Il y en a qui sont tombés, il y en a qui vont tomber, peut-être, je ne sais pas. C'est quand même beaucoup dans le travail d'harmonie, ça. Alors la fille qui est partie à une fête, elle est arrivée toute seule, elle est repartie toute seule. Bon, ben c'est deux dessins d'harmonie qui me touchent, vraiment. You know? She went alone and she came alone and she went alone. C'est un dessin, vraiment, c'est l'esprit d'harmonie. He sees everything. I know you see everything.
Very special person.
So maybe we could speak about your last endeavor, Edgelord. What was Edgelord, the design collective company you started? What was like the initial impulse behind it, and obviously what was the name?
It was mostly I just became more and more interested in technology, and obviously as AI started to as the presence of AI started to really pick up steam, and I was like, well, something interesting there, and I was like, and I was curious. For me, it was mostly like how to use it in as part of the process of making art and visuals and audio. And then when I got in there and started like pulling it apart, and I was spent a lot of time around gaming, and I was like, well, maybe we should try to like design a specific type of technology around this kind of creation, and then this idea of like what comes after linear entertainment, what comes after linear films, and playing around with like micro content, and definitely like it all kind of started to coalesce. So I started this company called Edgelord, which is really just it's a design collective that's based in technology. People from different engineers and hackers and game developers and graphic designers and so basically now all my time and kind of energy is like in this world now, trying to see if there's a way to create experiences that are so immersive it feels like you're inside of them, and so that's really what it is. It's trying to create like it's the end of kind of linearity and the beginning of this kind of total immersion.
Yeah, because you created two blinks, two portals, what we could call like two filmic experiences, and then like various commercials, merchandisings. I mean, there's like a lot of experiment behind it. But then the company itself is like a manifesto for a new type of entertainment. And then I picked up like two concepts that kind of are the foundation of it: cultural singularity, and the other one is unified aesthetic, coming from Charles and Teyssou. Maybe could you speak more about that, or the ambition behind it?
I mean, ultimately, I want to be able to inject the film. I mean, I want the film to just, or the experience just to enter you without prompting or anything, just to be able to send the experience into your mind. Basically, just like.
With the collaboration with Neuralinks?
Yes, actually. I mean, that is actually like what we're working on. It's basically like, how can I just directly, how can you like have these experiences with no screens even, just from the prompts or thoughts mostly. So we're like developing this thing called the Dream Machine that's almost done now, which basically gives you the ability to download your dreams. Really specific. What we're seeing coming back is pretty astounding. Yeah. So it's like I guess the easiest thing to call would be like a digital drug.
Because one of the experiments I thought was also really illustrative of edgelord ambition was, for example, when you collaborated with Travis Scott, Maximus, and for example, the idea that you wanted to break all categories. For example, that a film could be a clip, could be a video game, could be everything at the same time, and it would be a kind of a Frankenstein artifact, cultural artifact.
I just don't think labels, I don't think anything means anything. I mean, for me, creatively, it's just, I don't care. I just like, you just want to make them and put them out in the world in different ways. And some things that, even the idea of like old movie is not that exciting for me. So it's mostly like, how do you kind of like fuck with the culture a little bit and create like what comes next. But I'm not bound by any type of like, even form. It's more just like experience.
Like you have said, that cinema is no longer the dominant form and has been replaced by video gamers and streamers. I have in mind your quote about IShowSpeed, a famous American streamer that you compare to Tarkovsky.
Yeah, I said IShowSpeed's the new Tarkovsky. Yeah, he is. Except he has even more influence. And I think, like, for me, like, yeah, look at movies. Most movies, I'm not saying all of them, most films or anything comes out long form it's not that exciting anymore. But if you look at streamers and you look at even like gaming, a lot of the talent, I firmly believe like a lot of the talent, the kids, because Hollywood is really, a lot of it's like a kind of gatekeeping. And you seem like the audience is really diminished. So what you're seeing now are like kids like Speed and Kai and those guys who now can just like...
What's the true geniuses of streaming?
What?
What's the true geniuses of streaming? Genius.
Django?
No,
Genius.
Anus?
That's genius. Genius.
Oh, who's a genius?
Of streaming right now.
Oh, it's right. Who's the true genius of streaming?
Yeah.
I think Speed is the.
I show Speed.
I think he's like the best. Yeah.
Who?
I mean, Mr. Beast is.
I show Speed.
I Show Speed is very good.
Maybe we could dive into Agro-Drift, which, I mean, there's like several paintings taken from this movie. Could you speak about it? I mean, it has been inspired. I mean, the video game aesthetic is really strong. From what I realized, it's like in between Elder Ring, so a dark fantasy video game, which was hugely popular, that was launched 2 years ago, and some kind of GTA aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really inspired by Elden Ring at all, but, I mean, obviously GTA is like the goated game. But there's others, there's Hotline Miami, and there's other like games that, you know, you could say, oh, they're tangentially maybe connected. But it was mostly just, you know, we shot this film, it was like, we used these cameras from NASA, these infrared cameras. It was really it was all about like color and it was really just about image and sound. And we had this, came up with a story about like humanity. It kind of feels like in some ways immersive and very game-like, and yeah.
Yeah, and for me, because you use AI, NASA thermal cameras, special effects, video games like Unreal Engine. But to speak about the movie as a kind of technological monument, this is the point of it for me. Because I read that you were like more interested in grasping or capturing the aura, the energy, the soul of the character.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, then it reminded me of the early pioneers of cinema. The first person who held the camera in their hand, who thought that they could, you know, film ghosts. So this kind of really early experiments. Do you feel close to this idea, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bro, I don't know what to tell you. I just do my thing. I will say, yeah, I don't know. It's all good.
Harmony, I think you have transformed completely the light and the color.
Oh, with that movie. Yeah, I mean, it reacts to heat. It's heat-based, so it's like recording souls. Yeah.
This is very new and
I just thought, yeah.
disturbing and bizarre, and I love it.
Yeah. It's very
The
beautiful.
way he uses, la manière dont il sert sa caméra, ça transforme complètement les couleurs, ça densifie les couleurs, et c'est vraiment impressionnant et ça reste après.
It's supposed to be hypnotic.
Yeah.
When you were speaking of digital drugs, it's supposed to put you in
Yeah.
kind of a trance-like
Trance.
mood.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
listen,
like a rave.
I don't really know anything. I just like try to have fun. You know what I mean? Like I could make up a lot of shit for you and say it's like I was inspired by Buster Keaton and all this stuff. I don't really know. I just let my mind go to nothing and then.
That's why you're a great artist, because
Yeah.
you listen to yourself.
I just.
You go on your way, and that's why.
Yeah, it's like asking him why do you like the color blue or a person? I don't know. I just like the color blue or you know.
But you still put some concept on your practice, for example, when you speak about liquid narrative.
Yeah.
It again made us think of early cinema experiments
Right.
when they were not.
I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know if they are movies. I don't really have much interest in movies anymore, in the conventional sense of movies. It's not that I don't love movies. I grew up. That was the most important thing in my life for a long period of time. But I don't have that attachment to those types of that type of filmmaking anymore, or even that type of story, image, presentation. There's so many other people that do that they can do that, and it's fine. But it's not like when I think of things, it's not in that type of form anymore. It's more about like what is post-articulation. What is it that I can't describe in words? That's what I'm interested in. If I could tell you, I want to tell a story about this guy does this thing and that. I mean, that's everything has already exists like that. But I don't even use these last projects. I don't really even use scripts anymore. I don't write dialogue. I just almost everything is I have the idea. Sometimes I'll draw them out, storyboard them. It's good for production, and then then I just freestyle the movies, and then they build more the experience. And then it builds, I add the layers of sound or whatever it is, and then I take things out. I don't really set out to like say anything.
There's no storyboard or script? Or...
No, I will storyboard. At the minimum, I'll storyboard just so that the production has something to follow and actors. But I won't write anything. Like for the actors, usually I just whisper their lines right before, in their ear, right before they say it. And so the way I guess you could say some rappers just go and freestyle song. That's kind of what I do now with films.
Because you often describe your movie and these last endeavors as pornographic. And next to that, you said the only cinema genre that is transgressive is horror cinema.
Horror, yes.
And pornography. That is the only two cinema genre that, try to target the body first and not a kind of script or, they just be like sensual experiment.
I don't know anything about pornography, but...
well, apparently you say...
you often use the word.
I don't know, I've never seen it, never watched it, I could not tell you. I don't know that, I don't, never even looked at, what's it, Pornhub? Never know. Yes, that's probably the most interesting. If you're going to talk about just like genres, that's probably the most relevant genre. It's the one that's the most transgressive, and I feel like the younger kids are kind of constantly like trying to reinvent horror, and horror shifts. It is close to rap music in some ways, and then every time you think that it's done or you've got to the end or something of it and you've seen it all, then somebody does introduce some type of new perspective, new way of like looking at it, and it's like often like youth oriented. So horror, yeah, in some ways horror is the most. If you're talking about like regular films, that is the most interesting.
Any advice in terms of scary?
I don't know nothing. I don't know any advice. I just was like, horror film art would be like anything. It's like, what is horror now? So like, what is horror? Horror is just a feeling. So if you have a feeling, make that feeling. Right.
So let's speak now about like your commercial production, and because I believe you said at some point that you started to get into technology and edgelord by experimenting on commercial, on advertisements. And there is this 19th century French poet, Stéphane Mallarmé, who used to say that the most interesting part of a literary magazine or newspaper is like the advertisement part, because it's where you have like all the visual invention, all the font invention. And I wanted to hear you more about first your commercial work and if it influenced your artistic production.
Yeah, I like commercials. Sometimes I like them more than other things. I like advertising. I really like.
And I read that you had like many offers, and people were telling you can go crazy on this advertisement, and you went crazy indeed. And they at some point they refused and they abandoned the project. And you wanted to make a book of all the kind of unrealized crazy advertisements. Is that true? And
no, that's not
which
true.
one is the most crazy?
You just made that up. I don't know what you're talking about.
Est-ce qu'il y aurait des questions parmi vous, des gens qui se posent des questions, qui ont envie de demander quelque chose à Harmony? Je ne sais pas. Oui, j'y vais. Someone wants to ask you something.
I had a good ask her something.
Yeah.
I had a good ask her something.
You don't mind?
Actually, I have many questions, so feel free to cut whenever you want. What about leaving theater? Are you interested in this kind of...
What happened?
Are you interested in leaving art, theater, for example?
Live art.
Would you like to produce some?
What is it? Light?
Live
Theater.
action.
Oh, live action?
Yeah.
Live art.
You mean like a movie?
Like a theater.
Theater.
Oh, would I do a play?
Yeah, would you produce one?
Nah.
That would include technology, for example.
Nah, I can't do it. I got a short life. It's like I got a lot of stuff I got to prove here. I can't waste it on a play.
In agrodrift, is there like some kind of a subliminal dialogue that hasn't been talked yet?
Yes.
Would you recommend it to watch it on drugs, for example, agrodrift?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
What kind
What kind of what?
of drugs?
I mean, that's up to you, bro.
At some point in this movie, there's a big butt, and on this butt, there's some.
At some point, what? There's Bigfoot?
There's a big butt, like an ass,
Oh, yeah.
with some colors on it.
Yeah.
Those colors, they remind of Africa.
Oh, yeah?
Is that on purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
They remind you of Africa.
But you meant it on purpose, or?
I'm never gonna tell you.
Thank you. Super Smash Brothers Melee, is that a video game you consider?
What happened?
Super Smash Brothers Melee, is that a video game you consider?
No.
Is there another question?
That's a weird question.
Sure.
Does anyone wants to ask another question?
Should you be? Okay. Sure.
Super Smash.
Hey, hello. It's cool to see you. I'm very influenced by your work. I wanted to know, you kind of answer all my questions, but I want to know by you. What is your relationship with writing? Because the first time we see you is by writing.
Maybe speak in the mic because we hear you.
Okay. What is your relationship with writing? The first time we see your work was writing with
You
kids.
can't understand anything.
Oh, you can understand anything?
With what?
Writing. Écrire. Writing.
Riding a horse?
What's my relationship to writing?
Yeah, writing scripts, writing. Do you like
Oh.
it? Do you don't like it? Do
Oh.
you want like to go out of writing?
Writing. I love. I mean, it's great. It's one of the only forms that you can't really fake. It's one of the hardest, but it's also like one of the best because it just goes right from your thoughts. That's just directly through you and then onto the page. It's really just one of the pure paintings close.
But do you like the process of writing? Like, it's something that you like doing, or you like bullshit?
It's writing. It depends. Writing is like it's a means to get to the place. So if it's a script, for instance, I don't necessarily enjoy the process, but I will pretend that there's a gun to my head, and then if I don't finish the script in a certain amount of days, that the trigger will go off, and then that way it allows me to get to the end and then make what I need to make. But mostly, yeah, I just have AI write everything for me.
I have a second question and answer. But the second, what is your relationship with rap music? You seem to like a lot rap music, hip hop, rap music, trap music.
Yeah, it's a bad time for rap last year or so, but yeah, I've always liked it ever since. I've always liked always liked the music, especially when it's exciting. It's been in a kind of last year or so. It's probably the worst I've seen it in a long time, but yeah.
Okay. And the last one, do you consider yourself an anarchist?
No. I'm a patriot. I'm an American patriot.
Oh, sûrement. Je voulais vous remercier d'être venus, tout le monde. Ah,
Thank you guys. I love you, Pierre. Thank you. That's a good ass croissant.